Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today on Just Cook with Michael. Today I'm going to teach you how to make some sauteed scallops. This dish is going to have the scallops, some green peas, corn, yellow squash, flour to dredge the scallops in. We're going to make a beurre blanc at the end, beurre blanc sauce with some Sauvignon Blanc, and sauteing the scallops in extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to saute the scallops in extra virgin olive oil just because it has a higher smoking point, which means you could heat up the oil to a higher temperature and thus get a nice little crust on those scallops, where if you did that with butter, you really can't heat butter to that high of a temperature. Okay, the first step in the process is to season the scallops. Season them with some kosher salt. And the scallops I pulled out of the refrigerator maybe like 15 minutes ago. A lot of times in cooking, you don't want your protein products to be ice cold when you cook them, because then it's going to take longer to cook it thoroughly through the center. For example, if these were icy, the outside will cook first, but then because they're so cold, it would take a while for the interior to heat up properly. Therefore, you would have to cook the outside to a more doneness than you really want to, just in order to cook the interior. That's extremely important when you cook like thick steaks, is to have them at room temperature before you throw them on the grill. So just to pull them out maybe like steaks an hour beforehand. That is seasoned. Next, I will put in some fresh black pepper. I love this little grinder. You could set it to whatever coarseness you like. It also has a catch basin. If you need to grind like a tablespoon, you could grind it in here and then fill up your tablespoon if you need a more precise measurement. That is seasoned. We're going to add some flour. I add flour because it helps the scallops dry out more. It absorbs the extra moisture, and therefore you're more likely to get a nice crust on the scallops. You can see these have a nice coating. Now they're ready to be sauteed. The next step in the process is to slice up the zucchini. I'm going to cut these in probably about half-inch slices, so fairly thick. And whenever you're cutting up vegetables or anything for that matter, it's always good to have uniform shapes. That way they cook more evenly. Okay, I'm going to season my zucchini on both sides with kosher salt. Okay, so I have my seasoned zucchini with kosher salt and ground black pepper. This pan is hot. You test that with some water. Very hot pan. Now these zucchini, I like to also let them brown a little bit. So you need a really hot pan. Again, that's why I like these carbon steel pans. They just get extremely hot. Put about half a tablespoon of olive oil on there. I'm going to show you how to make one dish. So I'm using a pan with just a few zucchini. Obviously, just multiply it if you have multiple people. You always could do this in the oven by tossing these in olive oil after you seasoned them, and then after putting them in a very hot oven in a cookie sheet pan at about 500 until they are done being cooked. I will probably let these go about 4 minutes on each side. You definitely want them to be brown on each side. It'll really bring out a nice flavor. Those have been on for about 3 minutes on that one side, and now I'm going to flip them over. You have this nice, delicious crust that you only get with a very hot pan, and then they'll go about 3 minutes on this side. All right, the next step in the process is to saute the scallops. You want a hot pan, nice hot pan there. I will put in about a half a tablespoon of olive oil. And set these in. Okay, these will cook for about 2 minutes on each side. You don't want to play with them too much. Let them brown up. You can see if I turn that over, it's definitely starting to get crispy on there. Turn it over. I can see there's virtually no more oil in the pan, so I'm going to add probably about another teaspoon. Okay, next in the same pan that I cooked the scallops, I'm going to saute the green peas and corn. Put in about a little less than a tablespoon of whole butter. And this flame is turned down to medium now. We'll put in the peas. Put in the carrots. We put in the peas and the carrots. We'll saute those for just about 2 minutes. You basically just want to let seasoning get on there and let them warm up. Speaking of seasoning, we'll add a pinch of kosher salt, some ground black pepper, and that is it. They're done. Next, for the sauce, we'll add in a little bit of white wine. Just about a tablespoon. We'll let the alcohol cook off. I'll put my scallops right into that mixture. The flour that was on those scallops will help thicken that sauce a little bit, even though it's fairly any, but there's not that much wine there either. Just that little bit of flour that we had on the scallops will help thicken up the beurre blanc. I have some green onions as garnish that I'll put on here. That is your completed dish. Pretty simple. Scallops cook really quick. When I do these dishes on this YouTube show, I kind of make it as if I'm serving it at a restaurant. I wouldn't go through all this setup if it was just like, if I was having like 10 people over. You know, this is like if I had, me and one other person or up to 4 people. But if I had a bunch of people, I would, saute all the vegetables, make that beurre blanc, season them, get them nice and caramelized. Then after pour those in a casserole dish, then saute my scallops and pour those over a casserole dish and go from there. So don't overcomplicate this. The important thing is to enjoy the food, enjoy the company you're with, not to be stressed out over presentation. So with that, thanks for joining me on Just Cook with Michael. Go out and cook for someone you love. Thanks.